All right, strap in everyone, because today we are diving deep into some truly fascinating territory. We're talking dream yoga and astral projection.
Sounds a bit out there, right?
It does, kinda, but that's why we're here. We've got this text excerpt. It's almost like a how-to guide for the mind, blends practical techniques with some pretty deep philosophical insights.
We didn't stop there. We've also got this whole collection of other sources, historical beliefs, scientific perspectives, people's personal accounts.
The whole shebang.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, we're not just going to define these practices.
Oh no, we're going on a journey.
Through time, through cultures, we'll see what science has to say, and most importantly, how you listening might actually apply some of these concepts to your own life.
Even if you're not, super into the mystical side of things.
Exactly.
There might be something here for everyone.
Absolutely. So let's ground ourselves first with some dream yoga basics.
Back to basics.
Always good to start there. This excerpt we've got, Dream Yoga and Astral Projection. It outlines some specific techniques.
Techniques for what?
Boosting your chances of having lucid dreams. And it really hammers home this point. It's a skill, like you develop it with practice.
So not just something you can, instantly do.
No magic button here, more like learning an instrument or a new language.
Makes sense. Takes time and effort.
Right. And what I found interesting, the techniques themselves are actually pretty grounded. Things like reality checks.
Reality checks, throughout the day.
Yeah. Constantly questioning, am I dreaming right now? Or keeping a dream journal, detailed one, to spot patterns in your dreams.
Interesting. So it's about training your mind to be more aware, not relying on, spells or something.
Exactly. It's more about mental discipline than magic. And there's no one-size-fits-all approach,
Everyone's different.
Right. The excerpt actually encourages people to experiment, find what works for them. But common thread seems to be persistence.
No shortcuts?
Nope. You got to put in the work.
Especially given the objective of dream yoga, which is, well, the excerpt lays it out. Spiritual development, personal transformation, deeper understanding of reality. It's a journey, not just like a single outcome you're trying to reach.
Not just about having cool, lucid dreams.
Right. Deeper purpose. But, okay, let's shift gears.
Ooh, where are we going?
Let's talk astral projection. Is this where things get a little more out there?
Well, our source defines it as, and I'm quoting here, projecting consciousness outside the body to explore other planes of existence. So yeah, maybe pushing the boundaries a bit.
A little bit, but I gotta give them credit. The excerpt does acknowledge something.
What's that?
There's a lack of conclusive scientific evidence. Even mentions the skepticism around it.
So they're not shying away from the controversy.
Nope. Honesty is always appreciated. But before we dive into what science has to say, want to take a little trip.
Always up for an adventure.
A trip through time and cultures. Our sources mention a wide range of beliefs about astral projection throughout history.
A global phenomenon.
It really is. What are some highlights that stand out to you?
Well, there's ancient Egypt. They had this concept of the Ba.
The Ba.
This bird soul, believed to separate from the body, especially after death.
Interesting.
You often see it depicted in the Book of the Dead, hovering over mummies, represents this whole out-of-body concept.
Wow, that's a pretty vivid image, almost like they were grappling with this idea, consciousness existing beyond the physical body.
Way back then.
Yeah, thousands of years ago. And then you've got cultures like the YOGA people, Amazon rainforest.
Oh, I've heard of them.
They're shamans, the Eskimo. They use something called soul flight for healing, acquiring knowledge, like a spiritual quest, benefits the whole community.
Fascinating. And then there's the Inuit up north.
Right. They've got the Angakuk, said to embark on these trance journeys. To solve problems, they travel through dreamlike landscapes, encounter mythical beings.
Sounds like a fantasy novel.
It does. And speaking of fantastical journeys, can't forget Hinduism, with their concept of the linga sharira.
Subtle body.
Yeah, the subtle body, believed to travel during astral projection. Like your consciousness has its own spaceship.
I like that analogy. And then there's Japan with a slightly unsettling belief, the Ikiri, a soul that detaches from the body, but because of intense resentment.
Okay.
And here's the twist. The person's still alive.
Oh, that's a bit creepy. But it's amazing, though, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
How widespread these concepts are across so many different cultures. It's like a universal human fascination, this idea that our consciousness might not be confined to our physical forms.
Absolutely. Recurring theme throughout history, spirituality. But okay, time to shift gears again.
Oh, What's next?
Let's see what science has to say, because the things are about to get really interesting.
Because, let's be honest, some of those historical accounts sound a bit, imaginative.
Right. Well, our sources mention some researchers, Donovan Rockcliffe, Arthur W. Wiggins. They're pretty skeptical of astral projection, suggest a lot of reported experiences can be explained by other things, psychological factors,
Like what?
delusions, exceptionally vivid dreams, the mind playing tricks, basically.
Oh, I see. But surely that can't account for all the accounts out there. Our sources also mention Emanuel Swedenborg, 18th century scientist, meticulously documented his own out-of-body experiences. How does that fit in with the whole skepticism thing?
That's where things get tricky. Swedenborg, highly respected in his time, but his accounts clash with modern scientific thinking. It's like this historical puzzle piece that's hard to place.
A mystery. I like it. And then we've got figures like Robert Monroe, took a more, shall we say, scientific approach to astral projection, developed this hemisync technique, uses binaural beats to synchronize brain hemispheres.
Trying to bridge that gap
Yeah.
between esoteric concepts and a more technical approach.
Fascinating. So the idea is this synchronization induces altered states of consciousness, including those associated with out-of-body experiences.
It's like ancient wisdom meets modern technology.
I like that. Okay, so we've got skeptics, historical accounts, people trying to induce these experiences with tech. What about real-life cases? You know, harder to dismiss.
Our sources mention a few. There's this intriguing case, Maria, a woman who seemingly saw a shoe on a ledge during surgery.
During surgery.
Yeah, while her heart was stopped. Widely publicized. Potential proof of astral projection.
But there's a but here, isn't there?
There's always a but. Compelling account, sure, but no definitive proof she actually left her body. Other explanations are possible. Lack of, corroborating evidence makes it hard to say for sure.
So another piece of the puzzle, but not the smoking gun some might have hoped for.
Right. But then there's this other case study. More relatable, even if you're not into the whole esoteric thing. Mountain climbers, marathon runners, experiencing exertion-induced OBEs.
What, like from pushing their bodies to the limit?
Exactly. Seems extreme physical stress can trigger these out-of-body sensations in some people.
So even if it's not about souls leaving bodies, something's happening in the brain, creating these experiences.
Precisely. Which leads us to some fascinating research by Henrik Ursen. He actually induced out-of-body illusions in a lab using virtual reality.
And what?
It's pretty clever, actually. Participants wore these VR headsets, showed them the perspective of a camera placed behind their actual bodies.
Trippy.
Right. And then he would touch their real chest and simultaneously touch the virtual body's chest in the VR display.
Whoa.
This synchronized sensory input basically tricked the brain into feeling located outside the physical body.
That's wild. So even if we don't take the mystical interpretation of astral projection, our brains can clearly be manipulated into having those kinds of experiences.
Absolutely. Which raises a big question.
Shoot.
If our brains can be tricked so easily, how much can we trust those accounts from people claiming to have had spontaneous OBEs? Just adds another layer to the whole debate.
For sure. It's getting complex. But didn't our sources mention another big research project?
You're thinking of the AWARE study.
Right, the AWARE study. Remind me what that was all about.
Ambitious attempt to investigate near-death experiences and OBEs. During cardiac arrest,
Whoa.
they placed these visual targets in hospital rooms.
Targets, like things to look for.
Yeah, the idea was if patients having OBEs could actually perceive things from above, they might see these targets.
And what happened?
Well, the results were not quite what some people were hoping for.
What do you mean?
Only 2% of patients reported having full consciousness OBEs during cardiac arrest, and only one case was considered validated.
Oh, so not exactly a slam dunk for those who believe in astral projection.
Not really, but that's science, right? It's
Yeah.
about carefully examining the evidence, even when it doesn't confirm what we initially thought. And the AWARE study, even with its limitations, did give us some valuable insights into consciousness during cardiac arrest.
True, true. So we've journeyed from ancient beliefs to cutting-edge science, encountered skepticism, heard some pretty mind-blowing accounts, and thought-provoking research. But let's get practical.
Getting down to earth.
Right, because someone listening might be thinking, okay, all this sounds interesting, but I actually want to try this astral projection thing. What would you say to them?
Well, first and foremost, safety is key. Our sources highlight some reputable resources. The Monroe Institute, Center for Higher Studies of Consciousness. They offer guided experiences, educational programs.
So if you're curious, there are safe places to start exploring, but gotta do your research, right?
Absolutely. Be cautious. If something feels risky or too good to be true, probably is. Unfortunately, there are people out there who might try to take advantage of others' curiosity about these topics.
So be smart, be safe. All right, so let's say someone's done their research, found a reputable source. What are some practical steps they can take to prepare for, an attempt at astral projection?
Our sources outline some steps worth exploring, even if you're not completely sold on the whole leaving your body thing.
Intriguing. Tell me more.
They can be beneficial for relaxation, focus, regardless of whether you have a full-blown OBE.
Okay, I'm listening.
Creating the right environment is key. Transforming your bedroom into an oasis of tranquility. Dim lights, eliminate distractions. Make it conducive to deep relaxation.
So basically the opposite of scrolling social media in bed.
Exactly. Then it's about quieting the mind. Deep rhythmic breathing. Slow down your thoughts, release tension.
That's something anyone can benefit from, even the biggest skeptic.
Right. And finally, our sources emphasize visualization. Specifically, visualizing a protective white light surrounding your body, like creating a shield for your consciousness.
Okay, that one's a little more on the esoteric side.
It is. But even if you don't believe in, like, literal energy fields, visualization can be a powerful tool, cultivating that sense of safety focused, essential for any kind of deep inner exploration.
So we've covered the prep work, but this deep dive's about more than just the practical,
Well,
right?
there's more to it.
What are some of the bigger philosophical implications our sources bring up?
Well, there's a fascinating connection to ancient Greek philosophy, Plato, Aristotle. They wrote about quintessence, a fifth element. They believed it linked human souls to celestial matter.
Poetic way of saying we're all stardust.
Exactly. Makes you wonder about our connection to the universe. But let's get more specific.
Okay.
How does astral projection relate to our understanding of the self? Our sources talk about the subtle body. Lots of different names for it, depending on the tradition. Etheric double, linga sharira, astral body.
So lots of terms, but what is it really?
Think of it as the non-physical counterpart to our physical body, the vehicle for our consciousness, the part that supposedly travels during astral projection. And what's really intriguing is that modern research is starting to explore some connections between the subtle body and things like the nervous system, brain activity.
Wait, so science is starting to take this concept seriously.
It's early days, but there's growing interest in understanding consciousness in a more holistic way. And the subtle body concept, while still largely speculative, is on some researchers' radar.
Wow, so we're not just talking ancient mystical ideas here. Might actually be a scientific basis for some of this.
Might be. And speaking of mystical ideas, our sources also delve into the concept of chakras.
Yes, chakras, those swirling energy centers, connected by nadis, those subtle energy channels, associated with colors, qualities, even parts of the body.
It's a colorful concept for sure. But are we talking about, like, the 7 chakras often depicted in those New Age diagrams?
Not necessarily. The number and interpretation of chakras vary across different traditions, but the 7 chakras are definitely the most common framework.
Okay, so we've got these energy centers. How do they relate to astral projection and the subtle body?
Well, a lot of traditions believe the chakras are key to accessing and controlling subtle energies. The idea is activating and balancing your chakras can facilitate astral projection and other out-of-body experiences, like powering up your spiritual spaceship before blasting off into the astral plane.
You could say that, but what I find really fascinating is this. Modern research on meditation is starting to explore the link between chakras, energy flow, and brain activity. Ancient wisdom meets modern science.
So we're going from ancient mystical beliefs to modern scientific research on things like meditation and brain activity. This deep dive is full of surprises.
It is, and it seems like we've only just scratched the surface.
On that note, I think we'll pause our exploration here for now.
A good place to stop. But don't worry, we'll be back soon.
We'll delve even deeper into dream yoga, astral projection, and the mysteries of consciousness.
Stay tuned. We're just getting started. Welcome back to our deep dive.
Where we left off, we were talking about chakras, those swirling energy centers.
Right, and how some believe they're key to accessing those subtle energies.
And we were just starting to touch on how modern research on meditation specifically is exploring the connection between chakras, energy flow, and brain activity.
Lots to unpack there.
Yeah, let's unpack that a bit more. What exactly are chakras and how are they supposed to work?
Okay, so the word chakra itself, it comes from Sanskrit. means wheel or disc, which actually paints a pretty accurate picture.
How so?
They're often described as these spinning vortexes of energy located along the spine.
Along the spine, okay.
Yeah, from the base to the crown of the head. And each chakra, it's associated with specific qualities, colors, even organs in the body.
So it's like our bodies have this whole hidden energy system running alongside all the physical stuff we can see and touch.
Exactly, like a parallel system.
Wow. So what did these chakras actually do?
Well, in many traditions, chakras are seen as this meeting point between our physical and subtle bodies.
Right, we were talking about the subtle body earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they regulate the flow of prana, that's the vital life force energy, throughout our system.
Okay.
And the idea is when our chakras are balanced, functioning properly, we experience optimal health and well-being.
Makes sense. But how do we know if our chakras are balanced? Is there like a chakra diagnostic test I can take at the doctor's office?
Not quite.
Yeah.
Traditional methods, they're a bit more intuitive. Things like energy readings, pulse diagnosis, observing a person's aura, definitely outside the realm of conventional medicine.
So more subjective approaches then. What about modern science? Is there any research to back up the existence of chakras?
That's where things get really interesting. Mainstream science doesn't officially recognize chakras,
Right.
but there is growing research on the effects of practices like meditation and yoga, looking at things like energy flow, brain activity, even the nervous system.
So even if we can't directly measure chakras, we can start to see their potential effects.
Exactly. It's about looking at the bigger picture.
Makes sense. I remember our sources going into detail about the 7 main chakras. Want to walk us through those?
Sure. We'll start at the base, work our way up.
Sounds good.
The first chakra, Muladhara, is located at the base of the spine. It's our root chakra, grounding us to the earth, associated with basic survival instincts, stability, and security.
So if someone's feeling anxious or ungrounded, could that be a sign their Muladhara chakra needs attention?
That's one possible interpretation. Moving up the spine, we come to Svadhisthana, the second chakra, located in the pelvic area, associated with creativity, sensuality, emotions.
Ah, the emotional center. So if someone's feeling creatively blocked or emotionally repressed, could it relate to their Svadhisthana chakra?
Exactly. And then we have Manipura, the third chakra, located in the solar plexus. This one's all about willpower, self-esteem, our sense of personal power.
So someone who struggles with low self-confidence, feeling powerless, could that be a Manipura chakra issue? I'm sensing a theme here.
You're catching on. Now we reach the heart chakra, Anahanta, located in the center of the chest, governs love, compassion, connection.
Makes sense. So difficulties with intimacy, forgiveness, those could be related to the heart chakra.
Possible connection there. Moving up to the throat, we find Vishuddha, the fifth chakra, governs communication, self-expression, our ability to speak our truth.
So someone who is shy, struggles to express themselves, feels like they're holding back, might have a Vishuddha chakra imbalance.
Precisely. Now things get a bit more mystical. We arrive at the sixth chakra, Ajna, located between the eyebrows, often called the third eye.
Okay, the third eye, what's that all about?
Ajna is associated with intuition, insight, the ability to see beyond the physical realm. It's the center of spiritual awareness, psychic perception.
So someone who's overly rational, dismisses their intuition, feels disconnected from their spiritual side, they might need to open their third eye.
That's one interpretation. And finally, we reach the crown chakra, Sahasrara, located at the top of the head.
We've reached the summit. What's the view like from up here?
Sahasrara represents our connection to the divine, to universal consciousness, the source of all that is, enlightenment, transcendence, our ultimate unity with everything.
Wow, that's quite a journey. So we've got these 7 chakras, each with its own set of qualities, potential issues. But how do we actually work with them? Is it all about meditation and yoga?
Those are definitely key practices, but there are other techniques. For balancing and activating chakras, aromatherapy, sound healing, energy work, even crystal therapy.
So a whole toolbox of approaches. How do we know what's right for us?
That's where intuition comes in. Experiment. Find what resonates with your body and spirit. Remember, working with chakras is a journey, not a quick fix.
Good reminder. So we've got a basic understanding of chakras now. But how does all of this tie back into dream yoga and astral projection?
Well, in many traditions, a strong and balanced chakra system is essential for accessing and controlling those subtle energies.
Right, like prepping your spaceship before launching into the astral plane.
Exactly. By activating and harmonizing your chakras, you create a more stable, powerful, energetic foundation for exploring other realms of consciousness.
So someone who wants to try astral projection, would they need to go through like chakra boot camp first?
Not necessarily. While a balanced chakra system is beneficial for any spiritual practice, there's no prerequisite checklist.
Okay, good to know. But it sounds like understanding chakras and how they work could really enhance those experiences.
Absolutely. And even if you're not into astral projection, exploring the concept of chakras can offer valuable insights into your own energy and how it impacts your overall well-being.
So it's a win-win either way. But speaking of astral projection, we haven't really dug into what it's supposed to be like.
That's true. Time to shift gears again, explore some of the common experiences and phenomena associated with astral projection.
I have a feeling things are about to get even weirder.
You could say that. Hold on tight because we're heading into some mind-bending territory.
Okay, lead the way. I'm ready.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been on quite the journey exploring dream yoga and astral projection.
From ancient beliefs to modern science, personal accounts, even those swirling energy centers, the chakras.
And now we're going to step into some even more thought-provoking territory.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
The ethics of consciously navigating other realms of existence.
Right, because things are about to get real. Or maybe surreal is a better word. Because if we accept, even just for a moment, that our consciousness can venture beyond our physical bodies.
It opens up a whole can of worms, ethically speaking.
Exactly. Like if we can project our consciousness into other realms, could we also, I don't know, spy on other people's experiences without their knowledge?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Like some kind of ultimate cosmic peeping Tom.
Right. Not cool. And then there's the whole question of consent. If you encounter, say, other beings during an astral projection.
Who knows what you might encounter?
Right. Do you have the right to interact with them? What if they're not aware you're there? Or don't want to engage?
It's like walking into someone's house uninvited, but on a cosmic scale.
Exactly. And then there's the potential for, I don't know, manipulation, even harm. If you believe you have the power to influence other people's energy or experiences during astral projection, how do you ensure you're using that power ethically?
It's a minefield, for sure. We almost need some kind of, code of conduct for astral explorers.
Astral Ethics 101.
Right. Just like we have ethical guidelines for researchers working with human subjects.
Makes sense. But, some spiritual traditions that have practiced these techniques for centuries, they do have guidelines, principles for ethical conduct.
That's true. But as these practices become more widespread, more accessible, it's crucial to have these open discussions about the ethical implications before things get out of hand.
Right, because with new frontiers come new responsibilities. But okay, so we've talked about the ethics of astral projection, but we can't forget there are some pretty strong critiques and controversies surrounding these concepts too, right?
Oh yeah, not everyone buys into the idea that astral projection is even real, let alone a valid path to spiritual growth or self-discovery.
So let's hear those critiques. What are the main points of contention?
Well, one common criticism is the lack of scientific evidence to back up the claims of astral projection. Like we talked about earlier, many experiences can be explained by things like psychological or neurological phenomena.
So the skeptics are saying it's all in our heads?
Basically, yeah.
Mm.
And then there are those who worry that astral projection is a form of escapism, a way to avoid dealing with real-life problems by retreating into this fantasy world.
I can see that. It's like choosing to live in a video game instead of dealing with real-life responsibilities.
Exactly. And some believe it can be spiritually dangerous, potentially opening people up to negative influences, especially if they're not prepared.
Okay, yeah, that one's a bit spooky.
It's a valid concern, especially if someone ventures into these realms without proper guidance, preparation. It's like exploring a dangerous wilderness without a map or compass.
So tread carefully, be prepared. Good advice for any kind of exploration, really. But even with all the controversy, there's this sense that our understanding of consciousness is evolving, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. We're at this fascinating intersection where science and spirituality are starting to converge. New discoveries about the brain, consciousness, quantum physics.
Blow our minds wide open.
Right. All these things are challenging our old views of reality, what we thought we knew.
So exciting times to be exploring these topics. What do you think the future holds for our understanding of dream yoga, astral projection, all these mind-bending phenomena?
My guess. We'll see a growing interest in these practices as more and more people seek alternative paths to healing, self-discovery, spiritual growth.
Makes sense. People are searching for answers.
They are. And as technology advances, who knows? We might develop new tools, new techniques to explore and measure consciousness in ways we can't even imagine right now.
Imagine being able to track your brainwaves during an astral projection, or share your dream experiences with others in real time. The possibilities are mind-boggling.
It really is mind-boggling to think about. And as we learn more about the interconnectedness of everything, from our own minds to the vast cosmos, who knows what incredible discoveries await.
Well, this deep dive has been a wild ride, to say the least. We've journeyed from ancient beliefs to cutting-edge science, explored practical techniques, philosophical concepts, even delved into the ethical and controversial aspects of these practices. It's been quite the adventure.
A journey through the inner and outer landscapes of reality.
Beautifully put. But now it's time to turn it over to you, our listener. What stood out to you during this deep dive? Did it spark any new insights or questions about your own beliefs, curiosities, even fears about the nature of reality itself?
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Because for me, one of the biggest takeaways is this: a sense of awe and wonder. It permeates this whole topic. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, there's something undeniably captivating about the idea that our consciousness might not be limited to our physical bodies.
It really makes you question everything you thought you knew.
It does, and it's a reminder that we're all part of something much greater than ourselves. There's always more to discover, both within and beyond our everyday experiences.
Keep exploring. Keep questioning.
And that, my friends, is what the deep dive is all about. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey, and until next time, keep exploring those big questions.